Hey guys, welcome to episode number 97. Today we're going to fix the dry lock background. This is the second patch job that I've made to the 125, and both times it's just been, one of my curious turtles deciding to take a bite out of the background. And what I've seen happen is I think it's just one of the turtles. The other five don't do anything, but the one will start biting, and then it just gets larger and larger, and it's best to take care of it as soon as possible. So you see, I drained the tank down. I inserted a piece of plastic to catch any of my spills. Then I took my heat gun and made sure the surface was already dry to begin with, and then I blasted the exposed styrofoam with the heat gun to kind of fuse the styrofoam beads together to form a solid surface, which I could paint more easily. This makes sure that the dry lock has something sturdy to adhere to make sure that if that surface takes any wear and tear, it's less likely to start breaking off into those styrofoam beads as it is one surface. So you see here, I've started to paint the background, and what I'm doing is I'm alternating between painting with just a brush and some dry lock with some quick coloring that I've mixed up, and then I'm also alternating between that and the hair dryer to dry the place that I just painted. So it's about a minute or two for painting, and then a minute or two for hair drying, back and forth. And the goal here is to do as many coats as possible. The original background had probably 5 or 6 coats at the least on it, and I want to try to replicate that here as well on the patch. The more coats, the merrier. And there is a little bit of algae growth on the dry lock background, but I'm hoping that because everything is all dried out, that it won't cause any problems. That the new dry lock will adhere to the old dry lock because everything is dry. So that's the hope, and it is quite a bit of work for such a little problem. But like I said, it will only get worse the longer it goes, so it's best to just take care of it. I did drain the tank about halfway down before I started this job, and then I waited about 24 hours for the background, which was underwater, to then dry out before I even started this project. And you'll notice I am using a hair dryer inside of a tank that does have water, so I'm being careful. I'm holding it with 2 hands. Electricity and water don't mix, so please be careful if you try anything like this. Ideally, you'd want to drain it the entire way, but it just so happened that the damage occurred towards the top of the background, so I was lucky enough that I didn't have to do that. But as you'll see, it is a lot of back and forth. It's not a whole lot of fun, but it is something that absolutely needs to happen. I've seen people's backgrounds get completely ruined because they let things like this get out of control. Something that looks like it's just one small bite mark over the course of a week will get very large, and if it goes too far, it's just going to completely destroy the background. So in an effort to save the background and preserve the tank, this is what you've got to do. And luckily the damage wasn't that bad. Both times that I've had damage, the damage wasn't that bad. So I'm pretty lucky there. These turtles don't have very long claws, diamondback terrapins, so it's not a whole lot of claw damage. It's more of just the curious turtles. So I'm all done. I've got 5 or 6 coats. I pull the sheet of plastic out, and now I just have to wait for it to dry, and then I'll be good to go. Alright, and here's the result after painting with Drylock. The colors don't match exactly, but some of that is from the fact that there's algae growing on the old surface, and nothing growing on the new surface yet. So hopefully some algae will grow and start to cover that, just like before. But if you compare it to that stuff over there, it's not that far off, so I'll be happy with that. Just let it age a little bit, and hopefully it'll blend right in. But the important part is that it's sealed, so that hopefully they will no longer bite at that surface. While I was patching that, I also patched over here. You'll notice right here, there was one small little chunk that was taken out there as well. So I did put a few coats of Drylock on there as well. And what I did was I raised the water level back up so I could turn my filters back on. But I haven't raised the water level the rest of the way up because I'm letting the Drylock dry for 24 to 48 hours, completely dry, before I fill the tank the rest of the way up. So that's what it looks like right now. I'm sure the next time you see a video of this tank, it'll be all the way full. You'll see there's still some styrofoam floating in the water. Every time I get my hands in this tank, I just sweep the net through it a few times to try to get as much of the styrofoam out as possible. But really the best way to do that is to wait until the Drylock is completely dry, and then I'm just going to flood this tank, and I'll probably flood it almost 100% of the way full. So it floods over these beds here, and what that'll do is all of the styrofoam that's just kind of like coated, all the little bits and pieces that are coated on all the surfaces in the back, all that stuff will pick up and start floating in the water, and then I can just use a net and grab a lot of it. You'll see some in the ramp here as well. But that's what I'm doing. You know, when you lower the water level like this, it's harder for the turtles to get up the ramp, and I realized that they'd probably have a pretty tough time climbing up that. They probably could if they wanted to, but I think they've been in the water 100% of the time here for the past day or two while the repair has been going on. And what I made sure to do was to stack up some of my driftwood in the back there to allow them to at least have a surface to grip onto, so that they could, breathe and not have to swim. But ideally, what you want is always some way for them to get out of the water. So they can definitely do that there if they try. And again, tomorrow morning I'll fill this back up the rest of the way, and then they'll be able to climb out on their own, just like they normally would. So that's the repair job. Second repair job on this tank. You'll notice the first repair job here is still holding up fairly well. Let's see if I can get focus on this. So this is the new spot. This was the old spot. So it's starting to blend back in. So I'll just wait for some of that algae to cover those surfaces, and hopefully we don't have any more turtle bites here in the near future. But this styrofoam background is about 2 years old now, and these turtles are getting fairly large. So they don't have the largest claws, but they do have fairly large claws. So you'll notice that some of them, or some of the surfaces rather, are definitely getting worn, just from the fact that it's 2 years old, and there's been a lot of turtle traffic over them. So that's definitely something to consider when you're building your backgrounds, is to make sure that you put as many coats of Drylock on as possible. I can't stress that enough. Drylock is really cheap, and the more coats you put on, the better it's going to hold together. If you just do 1 or 2 coats, it's not going to cut it. And the other really important part is to harden that surface with some sort of heat gun or hair dryer to make sure that the styrofoam pellets don't just start chipping off one by one. And those two things combined will hopefully make a background that has some durability and some life to it. But like you've seen, even if there is some damage to the background, it can be repaired. It's not the end of the world. I've seen some people throw their backgrounds out after incidents like this, but I'm very committed to this one, and I want to make it last as long as possible. So the best thing you can do is make sure that it doesn't go too long and get out of control. Whenever you see damage, you have to fix it as soon as possible. Otherwise, it's just going to get worse. You don't want turtles eating styrofoam. It's not good either. So that's what's going on here. I'm going to turn the lights off on these guys and let them go to bed. But mission accomplished here in the 125, and I'll see you guys later.